Welcome everybody to another segment on Spectacular Women of Santa Fe. And today I have a very special guest with me, a woman that I greatly admire and is a personal inspiration to me. Now let me tell you a little bit about her before I go ahead and introduce her. She's an accomplished photographer, has been doing photography for over 40 years. She's won the James Beard Award, the Addy Award, and for those of you that don't know, that's like the Oscars of in the ad world, so it's very prestigious. She's won numerous other gold and silver awards in all kinds of other areas, and I'm not even fair to say competitions, but acknowledgments of talent. You know, she started her career at Hewlett-Packard taking photographs of technological things. And I love this quote because Hewlett-Packard told her, "You put sexy into technology." I think that's great because that's quite the accomplishment to do. But she's gone on to be a part of over 40 books and doing the photography in it. And nowadays she's working primarily with food. And oh my gosh, she's just like a poet with the camera. I just loved her talent. But more important is the thing I admire most is the grace and the power and the purposeful living that my guest Penina exemplifies for a woman in our age group. And so today I wanted to talk with her a little bit about that journey, her journey into becoming a crone. And remember, a crone is not the old ugly hag. A crone is the beautiful crowning glory of a woman that's lived her life well and has learned her lessons and honed wisdom over time. So I really want to pick Penina's brain on her life experiences of the wisdom that she's honed and how she's done it. Even though I feel like now she exemplifies grace and personal power, that I'm sure it wasn't always like that. So welcome, Penina. So glad to have you.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, you're welcome. Well, let's just jump right in there. Penina, let's start with that pivotal time for a woman as she ages, and that's going through menopause. And unfortunately, we're just not taught anything about it, and we're certainly not given much guidance in it. And could you share with me a little bit about your experience coming up to that time, what happened, and how you worked with that?
Well, menopause for me was at a crucial time. I had just been in a life-changing accident, and I flipped out of a golf cart over a cliff, and I did a 15-foot free fall, landing on a boulder that was in water and shattered my scapula. And it was unlike other little injuries that I had that was like a 4-week, 6-week recovery time. This was a 10-year deal with multiple surgeries and many orthopedic surgeons telling me that it was never going to be repaired, that I was going to just have to learn to live with the pain. So that began a journey of getting outside of the vessel that I was carrying and into a soul. And it was not a quick process. I found the diamond approach work, which I was studying, which really, works with bypassing the brain, because we tend to think things through. We think that everything that happens is through the brain, and it really isn't. And it was my peek into this aspect of soul.
Can I just take a pause a minute there, because I really want to touch in on that, because I think it's really a key point that so often it takes some kind of sometimes it can be a pretty severe wake-up call, in personal injury, and I've had to go through a few myself, one just recently, where I feel like it's like this reminder to take another view or another perspective of not just being a physical body, but we're something more than that. Because if we were just a physical body, you would probably still be in pain, and all the doctors prognosis would have probably come true because they're looking at the physical stuff. But what tells me something about you is you didn't accept that, right?
Correct.
You said, no, I'm not going to accept that. And you chose to look and search, do your soul searching for another answer of how to transcend the physical.
Yes. And, one of the aspects of in the diamond approach work that comes from the Sufi, where they say to be in the world, but not of it. And that speaks to, it doesn't mean we need to neglect how we take care of ourselves and take care of this amazing vessel that our soul chose at the time to journey with. We do. We're in this world. We need to be of it. We need to care for this vessel. And, but to understand this aspect of a journey where I began to have understanding that it was more attention of care of the soul. And where I didn't really have that aspect and understanding and awareness of that. And I think that accident in retrospect, as horrible as it was at the time, and I thought for so long it was the worst thing that ever happened to me, it was a gift. And I think that we keep getting these little wake-up calls, we don't pay attention to them, and eventually my soul was like, boom,
shake you up good.
You didn't pay attention to the last three things.
Yeah.
So
how about this one?
How about this one?
How old were you when this happened?
I was in my early 50s.
Okay, perfect. That is absolutely the time when it's starting to do, like, the big changes are happening. Yeah. Just to remind everybody, as the hormones drop, it shakes a woman's sense of self up deeply. It shakes up the way you're thinking. Just your whole identity starts to shift. It's like amazing how you're talking about our biology and our physical vessel, how much it does dictate things. And our hormonal landscape really dictates so much of our motivation through life until they start to go away. Right, and then something else comes. So as you talk, I think, wow, what a gift Spirit gave you was like time to switch how switch your perspective of who you are and how you thought of yourself.
Yeah, and the bigger aspect, which I've learned over time and have gotten to with this awareness, is that when we are truly connected, there's a lot of ways to say this. Some people think it's God, spirit, and I think of it as connected energy, is how I think of it, is that when that truly happens and we're not working through our brain and our body, everything comes easily. It shows up in perfect timing. It's like it sort of knows what needs to show up, what you need at the time, how the perfection is of each thing, and it isn't a struggle. And when you get to that point, you're not utilizing so much energy for something that doesn't need any energy. Then you have energy to be creative in different ways. And I've been playing with different art forms and really enjoying them. And one of the things I'm going to start doing soon is I'm going to try painting. I don't know if I'll be any good at it, but I'm going to do it.
Hey, I love that. To me, that is one of the hallmarks of a woman who has stepped into her power as a crone, is that she's still growing, she's still learning, she's still exploring, she's still expanding herself. I mean, I'm doing this Rebel Crone thing and getting all these YouTube videos. I mean, I've never been like on video doing things. I've always kept my knowledge and my wisdom just, close in, and maybe share it with friends if it's appropriate or not, or maybe not. So I'm sharing with the world a whole other side of myself and just putting it out there, and doing something different. And as an artist, it's just, and I'm sure this is the door opening for other things. It's just like, it's so important that it just doesn't stop. Like, life doesn't stop being dynamic. and growing. And could you talk a little bit about maybe some advice to younger women or women even around our age that might be struggling with changing and embracing something new? I mean, I don't know if that's something you struggled with or if you've always been like that, of like take the chance and put your neck out there.
Yeah, I mean, I have always been take the chance. The thing is that it never felt, I remember when the first time I started my studio, my brother was going, "You have a job and you're earning good money. Don't do this.
Why would you want to do that?
Why would you want to do that?" And I did it. And then Sacramento was great. It was financially really successful. And then I decided to move to San Francisco, and I thought my brother was going to have a nervous breakdown. And it was like, how can you do that? and so, but it didn't feel risky to me. Yeah. And it's not that I'm careless. I'm not. I'm careful, but I'm not afraid of a risk. And moving to San Francisco was fantastic.
Well, I think too, isn't it that you've learned, like we were just talking before we started filming, sharing a little bit about our like how we ground ourselves, and we both agree that the key is grounding ourselves in spirit, in the higher essence of who we are. And I think once you learn, like you open up those channels of communicating with your higher self, and you get comfortable with that, and things like then you start moving with spirit and the calling of spirit, and that's where all the beautiful serendipitous things happen, and it's just like the right person at the right time, and it's just this beautiful kind of like magic I think happens in life. But for me, it's like takes the fear, like, I'm like, aren't you worried? Don't you need to make money for this and that? I'm like, I'm on my path, and I trust I'll be taken care of with it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it is. And, in the other aspect of creativity, and this always happened with me, but I was not conscious of it. And that is that when I went in to be creative and do test shots or, whatever, that I didn't use my brain. And people go, well, you had complicated equipment. You had to use your brain. Well, in that aspect, yes, but I was so comfortable with my equipment that it wasn't uncomfortable.
You were figuring it out.
I wasn't trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
It came easily. And, the best work that I've done has come from some other source. Yeah. It is not, where I'm struggling to figure it out. It just has always been, and that it has soul in the work. And if you don't have soul, there's a lot of artists out there, but I'm going to focus on photographers who are technically really, really good, but no soul. Yeah. And and that's the work that doesn't really speak to me. Right. In any medium, not just photography.
And it doesn't matter if somebody understands it when they're looking at that piece of art, but they're like, I'm drawn to that. They may not be able to articulate it, but there's a reason why they're drawn to it, because there's a soulful, there's a message, there's some spirit in it, and they connect it to it.
Yeah. And I did take a long time understanding lighting and creating my own sense of how to light.
We had to learn your craft too, right?
You have to learn your craft, and then once you learn the craft, you kind of unlearn aspects of it, and put your own kind of fingerprint on it. Yeah. Which I did with lighting, and then I used to guest lecture at the Academy of Art on lighting. I mean, lighting is my thing. So
I know, and I was really excited to have Penina here today to do this, because I was like, as I'm setting things up in my very primitive home studio situation, this is my office with my backdrop and one little light over there and stuff. It's like, you know what? I'm sure Penina will give me direction.
No.
She's like, no. She goes, sometimes like the more primitive something looks, she's like, the better it can be. But we're not talking about I'm not doing a high art here as what you've done. But yeah, I think that's like, so you've got to learn your craft, and then you can start working with it and be intuitive.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I see light.
Yeah.
And so it's easy for me. It's not a struggle to figure that out.
You know, there's like kind of analogy that's coming to mind as you're talking is like almost like what I'm trying to do here with the Rebel Crone is like teach some of the craft of aging so then that women can put their own stamp on it, that they can then work with, you know, their own soul call and their own intuition and their own things and then freely create how they're supposed to. But there are certain things I think that are helpful with the craft of aging, you know?
Yeah, and you know, from my own personal experience, you know, it isn't about things that I've read or even conversations which are helpful in some sense. I've learned from people, wise people, but I think it all boils down to the ability and desire to lose the self. It is the ability to, you know, get out of the brain and separate this concept of soul and vessel.
Yeah.
And, you know, when we can truly tune into the soul, and I think there's probably many different paths to get there. You know, I have friends that have studied with gurus and they're waiting for spontaneous enlightenment. And I don't believe, I've never seen it work for anyone. You know, I think that we have to still do the work that we came into this life to do. And at that, there's an awakening, you know, and I think there's many awakenings. I don't think there's just one awakening. But I think that the most helpful thing to me, not knowing that that was the path, was to lose the self, understand where my soul, and that's what I think that these dimensional experiences, the few that I've had, was to experience what it feels like to just be the soul.
Yeah.
And lose the vessel. This is what it feels like, and it's light and it's airy and it's amazing.
And it's full of love.
And it's full of love.
Yeah.
It is.
I think that's part of the movement right now. There's so much movement towards people having out-of-body experiences through whether it's ayahuasca or mushrooms or is it DMT or all these different ways of kind of pulling out of their bodies. Now, I'm not...
I did mine from knitting. I was literally
I love that.
knitting one day, not, you know, not meditating, not a, you know, psychedelic experience, and boom, I just got hit with this white light. My body was gone, and I was in, you know, this other place, and it's quick. It was quick, you know.
Yeah. I know that's like, I'm not saying it's like right or wrong. Some people
No,
may choose
right,
to do
exactly.
that stuff or not.
Yeah.
I've had all of mine without drug enhancements. You know, so it's just kind of up to the individual.
Yeah.
But what it speaks of is that there's a longing for people right now for higher meaning, because we look around and there's just such division, you know, divisiveness being sowed amongst people that I think, you know, humanity's getting really tired of that and looking for something higher above them. And I think that's so true for women in particular. You know, women like the baby boomer women right now, you know, we ain't our grandmas, we ain't our mothers. You know, we are just a new breed of women that are perched on the edge of, you know, I think a different place of human evolution. And because it's happening. You know, the Great Awakening is happening. We're at the very, very beginning of it. Mm-hmm. And, you know, so it's like so important for women, I feel like, to share our wisdom and stuff, to share it amongst ourselves and to share it with younger women so we know how to navigate these times.
Yeah. And,
you know, I agree with you. Like, the number one message for me is, you know, to help women through the aging process is to ground in the higher realms. Ground yourself in the higher realms.
Yes.
You know, ground yourself into the earth, because yes, we are earth beings, but also in the heavens, and that's where we're gonna find like our purpose, and that's where they see like the spark of life in somebody. It's like, yeah, it's there because they're breathing different fumes now.
Yes.
You know, they got there, and it's never too late to get there.
No.
You know, we were talking about it earlier. It's never too late to start learning the lessons of our life and our experiences. Penina, can you is there anything else you'd like to share with women about your journey that's a piece of wisdom that you've honed? Maybe you honed it yesterday, maybe you honed it years ago, but about how you have been so purposeful in your graceful transition into a really dynamic older age.
Yeah, I don't know that it was like a goal. It just was one step, in front of the other. And I don't even know if I was giving advice to somebody. It just boils down to, I couldn't name the steps. I think it is a question of separating, understanding, feeding the soul, care of the soul, the book, if everybody's read Care of the Soul. And he talks about, one of the greatest things that stuck with me when I read that book a long, long time ago, you can have the same experience 10,000 times, or you can have 10,000 different experiences. And I think that is very true, and I think that the idea that people now don't have the same job from the time they're 25 or whatever it is until they die. Multiple jobs and experiences, and I think that in itself is very helpful.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think that's really profound. It's I think when people they feel like their life is just in this repetitive loop, it's because they're stuck in a story. As we get older, we start to say, like, this is the story of my life and it was back then. So really when we're stuck is something to do with the past. It's not about the eternal now, which is always changing. I can sit down with you, walk out of the room and sit back down with you, and it's a new time sitting down with you, and we'll go off on something else we'll talk about, but it's brand new, so I think that is just like such a beautiful reminder that as we age is that freshness and that newness comes from being willing to embrace a new you, a new story about you, and that's just you have to be in the now.
I would say, one thing I would say, because a lot of people get caught up, is this the right decision or the wrong decision? I want to do this, but it could be the wrong decision. Do that.
Yeah.
If that's what you want to do, it'll never be the wrong decision.
I think that's the blessed thing of becoming a crone,
Yes.
is that you stop caring about that. I care about so much when I was young what people thought of me. So I've gotten over is like, I really don't care. It's like, I want to do it, I'm going to do it.
Exactly.
It's such freedom. Oh my God,
it definitely is.
Such freedom.
Yeah, I never had, it's funny because, I definitely, since being a young child, I, definitely marched to a different drummer. And I got very focused on a thing, and there was essentially no getting in my way.
Yeah.
And so that was the soul that I was born with.
Yeah.
And did I, as some people say, make some mistakes? I don't think they were mistakes in retrospect. I think that they were just a journey and learning experiences, and I never beat myself up for having something not work out. I would just look at it and analyze it and go, wow, that part worked. That part wasn't what I was going for.
Well, that's a blessed attribute. I can't say I've been I've had to reconcile a lot of things. I had a heavy judgment on myself, but that's that's beautiful that you recognize that is a signature of your soul. And when I look at people like that, there's a natural gift at that. It's a design of who you are.
Yeah.
And if we can come in to really learn what is our design, so we can be harmonious with it.
Yes.
We can work with that. And then the things that are challenging, it's then our soul calling to us, right? That to step up and to learn something new, or to, something to heal in a certain area. I feel like we're here to give and receive. We receive our lessons, and we also give the blessing of who we are. So it's just a flow. It's just and we have to work in that flow to make it happen.
Yeah, and I think that, that old saying, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. I really believe that because people have shown up in my life along the way. I just recently lost a really dear friend a couple weeks ago, and he was somebody that I dated for 3 years. And, you know, we recognized that we weren't really meant to be together, but we were meant to be like soul friends.
Yeah.
And we remained very, very close. And I just want to tell a little bit of the story because it's a beautiful experience. When somebody has done their soul work, I had lunch with him the beginning of the second week in June. And we always get into these very deep conversations. And he said to me, you know, I really feel like I've done the work that I came into this lifetime to do. And he drove to Santa Barbara and he died.
Wow.
And, you know, I get choked up thinking about it, but he was so content. His soul picked his vessel, which had its challenges, and he did do the work through his lifetime.
And he do it. The beautiful thing about this story is that he was conscious of that.
He was conscious. That is the beautiful thing in the story, that he was conscious of it.
And I think for me too, that's how I look at dying too, is like, you know, my time is going to be in the perfect time. There's not going to be an accident with it. And when I'm complete with things, and if it's tomorrow, then I guess, you know, I complete. I think I would have a sense of it, but I don't have a sense at this point. I have a sense that there's more. But, you know, at some point there's going to be like, you know, I did what I needed to do.
Yeah.
You know?
And your soul is grateful for the vessel in this lifetime and ready to find another vessel to continue the work.
Yeah.
You know, it's just...
Oh, I love that. Thank you for sharing. That's very, very touching story. And I think it's one that just epitomizes an elder. You know, it doesn't matter if it's a male or, you know, female, but just being an elder is being in that place of grace, of knowing, you know, who you are, why you're here, as much as you can. I think there's a lot of things we can't know, and it's perfectly fine. I no longer try to know it all. You know, I'm content with what I can do, what I can know with it. And then there's going to be the time when it's done, but we can feel good about it because, like, I did what I came to do. Amen. You know, I came here for a reason. I came into being Elisa for a reason. You know, and I fulfilled that. And that's how I want to go out, that I fulfilled being this person.
Yeah, and I think that, you know, being surrounded by people that understand that concept, that it's a celebration of that person's life, not, you know, this horrible thing where it's so sad, it's this, no, it's a celebration.
Yeah, and then people exit the world in all different kinds of ways, and some of them are very hard to reconcile, especially when someone's younger. But, you know, always in my other videos I do, I'm starting to do the thing where I'm helping people to really, it's like, where is my rod? Where is my rod of being and my rod of understanding? And to really bring everything back around to that, what I know to be true. What I know to be true is I'm an eternal being in a mortal body, and I'm here for a reason. You know, I'm here to give and to receive. And if I can just keep squaring everything that happens in my life back to that, then it's just like, and it's just like the things aren't stressful. I can listen to politics of something or that, and I'm just like, interesting.
Yeah.
I don't get caught up in the whole things of the world or other people's dramas or other things. It's just, you know, you can like be in the world and not of the world, but it takes knowing where to orient yourself.
Yeah, and I think that if I might add a little bit to
please.
that, is to learn, and I think this is a crucial thing, it's what I finally was learning through the Diamond Approach work, is living with reality. In other words, that we don't have this concept. I always dislike the idea, are you an optimist or a pessimist? That's like taking only half of what exists, you know? It is, what about I'm a realist. I try to take each situation. It's okay to be sad in a situation. It's okay to not like green beans. It's okay. Do you know what I mean? And all of these things, but just accept the reality as it is without trying to make your experience different. This is my experience and I'm living with this experience. And in that aspect of being able to do that, everything smooths out and becomes more comfortable.
Aging, for one thing.
Yeah.
Now you can see, everybody, why I love this woman and why I admire her, you know, for who she is and what she, really, it is true, Penina, you know, it's just the wisdom that you have worked through in your life. You know, I really appreciate that. And I love being around you. I love having these conversations. And I find you very inspiring, just being in your presence. You know, you carry just a beautiful spirit about you. And that's what I hope, you know, we can, through this videos, inspire more women to step into that place, because we all have that place. You know, they can step into this place of just owning right now the reality of who they are, which is a beautiful, incredible, immortal here on earth, you know, to just create magic. And, you know, it doesn't matter little, big ways. It's the magic of who you are and the grace. So thank you for gracing everybody with your presence today.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. And as always, I like to do, peace in, everybody. Until next time. Thank you.